Welcome to Family Business Breakthroughs, where we bring you time-saving, money-making strategies to improve your business even more. With over 3 decades of experience serving multi-generational family businesses, we've got time-tested solutions that get the results you're looking for. Listen in and get ready for your next breakthrough. I'm your host, Jim Berner, and today I have co-host with me, Sheila Janan. Sheila, what's going on today?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm so happy to be here with you, Jim. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Sheila, you know what I love even more? 2030.
Funny.
2030. The youngest boomer is going to be 65 in 2030, Sheila. And
Woo!
not all family business owners are just like, "Hey, let's throw up our hands. We're done at 65. We're retiring. We're done." Right?
That's right.
They
That's
stay
right.
in the business. Um, but one of the
I
most
know one
important
in particular still doing that. Hmm.
and
Is
today
she
we're going
talking about her mother?
I might be. I very well might be.
Oh man, today we're going to be talking about succession. And if this isn't handled well, I would consider this a recipe to set a company back pretty far. What do you think about that, Betsy? Do you agree?
Oh yeah, and if you look at the failure rates of generation to generation on businesses, it's huge, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Betsy, let me ask you before we get into something else. You started Meridian with a focus on cash flow. But when did you realize that succession was critical towards a business's future?
I think it was really early on, Jim, because for whatever reason, I ended up, when I started the business, working with a lot of multi generational companies, and I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I it was early on. It was like,
Mm,
yeah, they got to get this right.
yeah, that's critical. Yeah, and
And
it's
I saw failures. I saw people that wanted to pass the business on to their kids, and their kids didn't, and wanted. And I saw kids come in where parents had passed away, and it didn't go well. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot over the years.
goodness gracious. Well, today, as we kind of talked about, Betsy, was we talk about stories of family businesses, and you were going to share with our audience today, and Sheila and I, one that was kind of really touching on your heart, and so I'd really love for you to kind of share it with us, and let's dive into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was really fun because it was a dad that I had known for a lot of years, and there was a point where he didn't think his kids would ever really want to run the business, and wasn't really sure they'd be capable of running the business, even if they had an interest in it. And
Hmm.
so at that point, what he decided to do was to bring in a partner. And this partner was going to help run the company. And they kind of had an agreement that eventually this gentleman would sell him the company. This partner would, be out at meetings and, the big man on campus, right? So what happened in this particular instance is that all of a sudden the dad realized, I think that my kids actually can do this. I want some help with this. And that's when he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I'd really like help. I'm smart enough to know that, a dad shouldn't be doing this alone. I want some good help with it." Well, at that point, there was a lot I didn't know. So I just started working with the kids. But what I found out was that this partner that he had brought in had actually been trying to get rid of these kids. He
Mm,
didn't want them
Hmm.
around. He was actually sabotaging some of the things that they were doing.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it was like, "Really?" And, he didn't know that all this was going on. It almost
That's
was
so
like,
heartbreaking.
oh, it was horrible. And it was like, I was just talking to one of the kids yesterday, and they said, and I say kids is just, they're adult human beings, but that this guy was almost abusive in how he
Mm,
handled them, right?
Ugh.
And so this guy was also kind of like hoarding information. He was making a lot of solo decisions. And what had happened within the company was he was like fostering this almost, I call it the CYA, right? The cover your donkey culture. So it was really weird. And so as I'm working with the children and we're trying to like change some of the culture and doing some things, um, they started like uncovering some things with this EVP. And actually, as things started to be uncovered, he got uncomfortable and he exited out. Like, instead of him getting the kids to quit, I think he realized, he needed to quit. So after he left, which was like a major heartburn for the dad, as you can imagine, it was like, he
mm,
couldn't even imagine that this guy had, was doing these things. But once he separated from the company, like they found out he was making really unethical customer decisions too. Like he was doing some under the table business dealings. There was so much, you know. So
Goodness.
this has a happy ending though, because once this guy got out, and as we started helping the the children to actually hire competent leaders, change the culture to one of transparency. It had been one of distrust. It started changing into trust. I mean, it was no like quick thing, um, but it started to happen, and I can remember being on a coaching call with the children and the dad, and he started thanking me and telling me, "Hey, I don't think that all this would be happening." And what I found out was he had busted out into tears. He just had this realization that
mm.
had he kept going on the path that he had been on, it probably would have ruined the family relationship. I mean, I think that the kids would have left the business eventually, but now this company is thriving, and the and I still now probably the dad only comes into our coaching calls like every 3 months or something, but he never fails to say, I am so proud of my kids and what this company is becoming.
And
And
how many kids did you say?
it's just two. It's just two
Okay.
in the business. Yep. Yep. So it's a pretty cool thing. And um, still coaching, still empower companies, still making strides, still growing, still developing even more leaders. I mean, it's awesome to see what they're doing.
Gosh, that's such an amazing story. There's so much to unpack there. We could have a whole nother podcast, but I mean, I know succession is such a difficult, challenging, not always, but oftentimes process. There's so much to learn as a next gen. And then there, like to hear that they bring a partner in thinking that that's the right step to do, and then later finding out that that's been sabotaged.
Mm.
I mean, all I just can imagine the frustration with that. What type um what type of tools did you share with him that Meridian offers that like really got them on the straight path, would you say?
They knew that the culture was broken, and they knew that they needed to make a change. So the probably where we really started was on defining core values. They'd had some core values that were just like stuck up on the wall for 20 years. But it was, obviously that EVP was not within core values. at
Mm.
all, zero, right? So
Mhm.
the first thing was to say, okay, we know what we don't want it to be. We don't want it to be this, secretive, just one guy with a lot of authority, everybody afraid of him, all that stuff. So it was really tools to help them with resetting the culture, which included our system for core values, our system for attaching behaviors to core values, getting those baked into their employee reviews. Um, and then they started actually looking, especially after this experience, they started looking at their leadership team versus, are they really a culture fit? And the thing that was interesting is, because the former leader that left had been so authoritarian, didn't want to share information, those people that were working underneath him, they were not empowered. Like, they went to him for everything.
Mm. Mhm.
So that was part of it too, is kind of teaching them, how do you start empowering? Well, interestingly enough, is that when that guy left, there was another person that had been very close with him. Um, but really, what they found out was that person was not competent. And so there was turnover there. So, I mean, they went through a lot of stuff. Um, and what Meridian did, I think, I'm sure they would back this up, is we help them not only with systems in this case, but it was also just some moral support of, you're making the right decision, like, testing,
Mm.
hey, this person probably is not doing a good job. You've maybe outgrown this person. You're not blessing this person by keeping them in a job that they've outgrown, those kind of things.
Mm.
And just really helping them start to see and think through what it was that they wanted on their leadership team. Um, and so that helped them by clarifying and then getting clarity. And now there's KPIs on people, both culture and performance KPIs. So they're getting this really nice blend of a healthy company, where it's not just, all about the profit, but it's also not all about the people. There's this really nice blend going on. So they haven't, lost their caring, and yet they have accountability, and everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, I wanna just circle back into the beginning of your story for this succession piece, and it
Yep.
was that the dad said, or this is what you mentioned, is that he thought that they never wanted to take over the company or were capable. But I guess in the initial process, should that be the first step? Should the conversation happen before assuming that, they didn't wanna do it?
Oh, absolutely, Jim. It's such a good question. So often we find in succession planning that the parents have not talked with the kids to say, is this something that you want? And
Mhm.
created that pathway together. And there's a lot of times an assumption by a parent that the kid will have the same skills and strengths and all those things. And a lot of times what we find is that the children and the parents are completely different.
Mhm.
um, Sheila and I are a great example. You get to work with both of us. Sheila's super creative, right? And I'm the, results driven, profits, make sure you're making money kind of person, right? And so it's a lot of times the kids come with really amazing strengths, but the parents sometimes don't see it because they're different. They're different than their strengths. It depends upon the parent. I'll tell you one thing, all parents love their kids, and they want their kids to have the same wonderful opportunities. Like most of the companies, and Jim and Sheila, you know this, they love their business. They love their
Mhm.
business, they love their
Mhm.
Mhm.
teams, and
Yeah.
they want their kids to have the same opportunities and to just understand what an amazing lifestyle that can be. It's not without challenges, right? Family business has challenges, but yeah, that conversation with the kids is super important. And I can just give you story after story on that one.
It Well, there has to, I'm sure that our audience has the one question in the back of their head that they keep saying, ask. Well, didn't the kids ever go to dad and say, hey, look, this guy is being like a, a 4-letter word, and like, what was that
Yeah.
like, did you ever
Mhm.
like, did you hear about that conversation that ever occurred at that point, or?
No, because they were
Mm,
raised very respectfully,
Mm.
and they
Mhm.
were and they and the dad is conflict avoidant, and they
mm.
knew that.
Yeah,
And so
okay.
that was putting their dad into a place of now he's got to go and confront this guy. Well, I think that there were some like little discussions, but of course, what do you think happened with his EVP, Jim? He just denied everything. Oh, that didn't
No, of
happen.
course.
Oh, that's just them, blah, blah, blah. And so he was kind of a mass manipulator. And so he had the owner, really into this position of thinking that he walked on water. So,
Mm.
yeah, very interestingly enough, I don't know if I should say this, but I will, is that person is now a consultant. And I
Oh,
think,
wow.
man, that would be the last person in the world I would want coming into my business.
Yeah.
Because the ethics are just not there at all. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I don't know about you, Sheila, but I need a drink after that one. I need
Well, that's what I meant. There's so much that could be unpacked in that one story alone that we could have a few podcasts, but time is limited. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, Betsy, I want to thank you, for sharing the story, for your time today, the insight as always. And I want to encourage people to go back, again, pause, Sheila was asking about the great tools and resources that Meridian has. And as we talked about succession today, the link down below in our show notes is for a succession PDF link. You can go right onto our website to be able to obtain that. I want to encourage everybody to go on there to be able to do that. And again, message us your questions and comments. If there's something specific in this that you want to dive into deeper, we'd love to be able to join that for you on another episode of the podcast. So we want to hear from you. Our contact information is down below. And as a reminder, Meridian is here to serve you and your family. If you're looking for succession planning, leadership, next gen coaching, or want to attend one of our awesome events, again, check out the show description for the links to our website and how you can be a part of Meridian events or how we can help you. Feel free to reach out with any questions or comments and hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you all for your time today, and we'll see you next time on Family Business Breakthroughs.
Thanks, Jim.
have a great day.